Hello, and welcome to the Inspired Living Experience. We are here meeting on the 11th of the month, every month at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So we also call it our 11:11, which is really about alignment. So we come on here to have a place to talk about what it means to live from what matters most, which is our core values. And what does it mean to be in alignment with that? And each month we have a theme, and this month is one of my favorite themes, which I actually haven't brought to the Inspired Living Experience before, but it is about creativity and how that can show up in our life and what reactions we might have to that word, what we think about it for ourselves and for others, and how it can actually be the spark that can ignite changes in all areas of our life, not just our artistic life, but in business, in our home life, in parenting, in the global world, even. So I think creativity is a superpower and we all have it. And today we're going to talk about how to access it through our values. And so I like to talk about what values are because there's a lot of talk on a very general way about values out in the world. But what really are values and how do we describe it? So, values are words and phrases that really reflect what's most important to us. They are our guideposts. In this work, we take the time to identify 5 to 7 core values, and they become our inner compass. They really help us kind of direct where we want to go and how we're going to show up there. A lot of times people think values are aspirational. There's something to live up to. They're out there. Here we ground them and we actually use them. And we talk about how they're already living in our life and how we can move to more alignment with them. So it's not out there, it's nothing to aspire to. It's more about, oh, this is kind of the center line. This is where we want to get to. Because this is when we do that, we feel what? Excited,
Connect.
connected, great, whole, happy, well-being. So we like to say it lights us up. When we're doing core values work, it's about lighting up and feeling good. And that's what's kind of different because a lot of times core values can kind of make people feel bad. Like, oh, I'm not doing enough. I'm not giving enough. But that's not what this is at all. This is really about self-inquiry and really getting to know ourselves and showing up in a different way than we had in the past. So hold on 1 second. I think I have a little technical thing. Oh, it says I have another meeting. Okay, hold on 1 sec. I'm going to send somebody a link and then I will keep going. Um, but core values are something we like to talk about it here in a non-judgmental way. Do you guys think that's true? Do we reach that? Yeah, and in a way that kind of can lift us up and be a part of um, every decision we make, right? We really can reflect and see how we do that. So before I keep talking, any questions or everyone to check in for a little bit and why they wanted to show up here? Just say a quick hello. Maybe just quick hello, why you're here today. Anything else you want to share? So, Christine, you want to
Um,
start?
I'm here today because every time I come here, I leave lifted up. So I said, you better get on that call, Christine. That's it.
That's it. Thank you, Christine. Elan, were you going to say something?
Yeah. So, hi, I'm Eileen, and I've known Amy from a long time ago in a different life with our kids, but I've never come to one of these meetings. I keep getting the emails, and so today was the day. And it happens to be, I love that the theme is about creativity. That is my whole world in arts education and supporting artists. Um, but for me, it's also now very recently to come return to what my own creativity is and expressing that. So it seems that I've already manifested the perfect conversation. So thank you for having me.
That's great. Thank you, Elan. Sharice, you want to say hello?
Yes, I am here and I wanted to see what the whole creativity, tap into the values of creativity was about because I never really pegged myself to be a creative person, but the email did say you don't need to have like like special requirements or anything like that, and if you just want to tap into and see how we can tap into it, and that's what I'm here to do, to try to tap into that creative side of me and see if I could be more expressive.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I really relate to that. And I was intentional in how I wrote that email because I do think there's a full spectrum of how people connect with the word creativity or not. So thank you for sharing that. I think it can be off-putting for myself. I didn't think I was creative for years and worked in a creative industry, even making movies, and did not consider myself creative. It wasn't until I was connected to my own creativity that I could even acknowledge that I was participating in storytelling and creative processes as a producer. And it was just a very fascinating journey with the word creativity for me. And I had and as Alan was talking, art, creative teaching, art teaching, like in second grade, I couldn't draw a horse. So I just believed I wasn't an artist. And it wasn't necessarily valued in my family in terms of our what we did. We were supposed to work hard, go to school, have a career, blah, 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 but not like it wasn't about being an artist. That wasn't even on the table. So I just thought, oh, that's not me. And I never explored it. And yet I was constantly out playing in the woods and imagining things and making up stories in my head you know, and so when I was able to reflect back doing the values work, I realized creativity's been there all along. And you might find the same thing. And it may not be through the word creativity, it may be a different word that inspires you and connects you to your creative source and all of that. Hi, Terry.
Hi.
We were doing just a quick check-in.
Oh, okay. So, do you have a question for the check-in?
Just hello and what brought you here today. And we were, the theme today is creativity, and that seemed to be an interesting draw.
Hmm. Yeah, I think I have a similar story. I grew up with two sisters, older sister and younger sister, and my older sister took up painting really early and was always seen as the creative one. And I was always organizing things, like my parents had all these encyclopedias and I would put them in order. And so it just didn't seem like creativity, even though it has some element of creativity.
Yeah.
And recently I was walking around the block and there was somebody threw out all the canvases they had worked on, and they'd already been painted on, but I brought them home and I have been putting a painting on top of the painting and using some of the elements in the back painting. And it's very interesting, but it seems like, um, just a new thing to try, and just to experience new parts of yourself is uh, to to make time for it, I think, is what it needs, and a new habit, some kind of new habit to create.
Yeah.
To if you just change one little thing in your life, sometimes it just keeps opening up.
It's true.
It's like opening a door.
And that's what why we come together every month, right? Because when we start talking about our lives from the lens of our values, it shifts things. It shifts our perception. We start to see things slightly differently.
Well, if we're all frozen, or
Am I frozen?
oh, you were, yeah, yeah, and now the timing is off.
Okay. Am I frozen anymore? Thumbs up. Good. Okay. So, it's one of those things that our values can really help us shift the perception and help us bring attention to things that we maybe haven't brought attention to in a while. And that can be in our heart, that can be out in the world, because we look at the values as a bridge. The bridge between kind of who we are, our highest version of self with a capital S, and then how we take that out into the world. So it connects both. But sometimes we can be so far out in the world that we've left ourselves, a little bit too long away from ourselves. We haven't connected. And sometimes we can be so kind of hibernating or insulated here that we haven't brought ourselves out into the world. And so the values help us do both, help us step out when we're feeling a little bit more like hiding, and they can help us reconnect when we've been really external and outward and performing or just being out in the world in the way that we can be. So the values help us do it. So when it comes to creativity, it's kind of all throughout that we can really start to explore. So I put together we're gonna do something a little different than we've done before, which is I have some journaling prompts that I thought if everyone has access to a pen and paper, I'm going to share these prompts and we're going to talk about, or we're going to give you time to reflect on some of these questions, and then we'll share about it a little bit. And
Okay, I have to go get something.
okay, I'm going to mute you.
I'm outside, so.
Okay. Um, Stop muting. Okay, does everyone have access to something? I'll share my screen.
Okay.
And I'll put it in the chat too, so that y'all have that as well. Oh, wait, what did I just do? Okay, 1 second. Oh, it's already in here. Okay, I was waiting to share it. All right, good. So as you think about the creativity and some of these prompts, we're just going to kind of take, I want to time it so we just have a few minutes on each one. It doesn't have to be an essay. You could just write free flowing thoughts. Don't try to edit it. It's not about writing out anything perfectly. It's more giving yourself the opportunity to think about what we're discussing. Think about these prompts. So, everyone ready? Have something with them to write with? Okay, good. So, the first prompt you can see here is think about a time you were in nature. This month, you're going to hear a lot about nature. It's Earth Month. So, think about being out in nature. Describe it by using your senses. So, describe a moment. What did you see? What did you hear? What did you smell? What did you touch? And what did you feel? So I'm going to give you guys a few minutes.
Amy, are we going to each question now, or are you prompting us to go to the next question?
I'd like you to do one at a time, and then we'll come back and share for a minute or two, and then we'll go to the next one. Thanks for asking that. Do we need more time, or I'm giving about 3 or 4 minutes each prompt. Okay, that's time. Ha I'd love to hear, and who would like to share about what that felt like or what that experience was? You can just raise your hand, like, oh, Charisse?
Um, it was it, the feeling of fresh, clean, crisp, cold air,
Mm.
free of pollution, free of smog. Um, just like seems like the day after it rained. Usually after it rains, it's just so clear, and um, there was birds chirping. I've referred to a brook, but it was really the a river, water running from the river, and a lot of green leaves and trees, and I felt happy.
Yeah, so poetic. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Well, anyone else? Who else would like to share a bit about that experience? Christine, are you about to speak, or I don't want to
I'll
put you on
share.
the spot? Yeah.
Dropping stuff. Sorry. I'll share. I think the question said, remember a time you were in nature. And what came to me was a youth teenager retreat at Camp Letts in Maryland, where I was leading the retreat. Ha ha. And that came up. And the first thing I smelled was the green, I just call it a green smell,
Yeah.
and it aggravates my allergies.
Isn't that cute?
However, I felt peaceful and happy. I walked a lot more than I usually walk. I saw deer and other small animals. I was invigorated.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And my memory was like 2 weeks ago. Yours was from years ago, and yet the visceral experience for you was right there. And I find that so fascinating because nature definitely leaves an imprint. We've been leaving an imprint on nature, but nature definitely leaves something with us. And if we're talking about creativity, it's incredible to look out at nature, whether it's outside our house and looking at a tree that we look at every day, or going out into a camp, or I don't know, Sharice, if that was when you were snowboarding or not, or when you're out doing something. I was on a hike. So it's those things that we do when we get out into nature and see the creativity that also can inspire us to be creative. So this is an exercise that every day you can do and get something different out of, because it's something just to instantly reconnect you to your own creativity in the moment. Any other insights before you go to the next one?
I love to garden. And so I love to spend my hands in dirt makes me feel grounded. And just it make the smell of the dirt, the feel of it, the texture. I feel very close to Mama Nature when my hands are in the dirt. And so it's that grounding feeling.
Right. Yes. And
I know. And yeah, I feel nourished by being outside and the sun, and hearing the birds. And as I'm nourishing my garden, I get to also feel nourished.
right. It's so true. And it's such a form of creativity to be doing that, to be in the dirt, in the working, collaborating, right? To an extent with the plants and the seeds. They're going to do what they're going to do, but we help by nourishing and being a part of that process. So the next question, which I'd like you the one we just did, I want to inform the answers to the next one, which is, what does creativity mean to you now that you've had that first experience? So reflect just a few words on what it means, what it represents in your life. You can use the words you just described for the first one if you want to. But is it about art, innovation, problem solving, organizing, or something else? So I'm just going to give you 3 minutes to do that.
Oh, Christ. You could just say something.
Nope.
Thank you.
Okay, that's about time. Was that challenging, or how was that experience?
I really enjoyed that your prompt to think about the nature question flowing into this one, because as I just shared that being in dirt makes me feel grounded, or but creativity, when I am grounded or feel whole or calm, that's when I find creativity flows. Or I can find a solution at work when I'm grounded. I can design some work piece that I need to create. I can solve a problem at my family, um, or I can literally make something. But it was, I know that sensation to be true, that when I am grounded, it's tapping into that sort of unconscious
Right.
flow state, and answers come and creativity comes.
Yeah, that's so beautiful and true. And sometimes for me, I have to move. Like if I meditate, that won't all guarantee me to get into like a feeling of groundedness. I can feel more calm, but it's not necessarily going to ignite my creativity. It's necessary for me to do, but it's something like moving or gardening or walking will help that for me. And I think we're all different. Somebody else may need the other. And part of this process is that there isn't a right answer to any of these. It's about being really clear for yourself what that means. So part of my definition of creativity is being able to hold two completely opposing ideas at the same time. Right? So my daughter, when she left for boarding school at age 15, there I had such sadness and grief and also excitement for her. I was truly, genuinely excited that this desire she had wanted and we had worked really hard to help make happen with lots of divine help, came together. So I was able to hold both feelings at the same time. So that's what creativity means to me, being able to see something in its wholeness and not just in a black and white way. So to me, it's a bit abstract in that regard, but it's definitely visceral too, because that means I'm having two different feelings at the same time, and one isn't right and one isn't wrong. How do you hold both of those? But I did. And that's because I was thinking about it from a creative perspective. And that's what creativity means to me. One more, would someone else like to share?
So,
Terry.
so I I can't mute myself for some reason.
Oh,
So
okay. Let me see if I
sorry.
can do it. Okay,
Okay. Hi.
you're unmuted.
Thank you. I'm really appreciating this question because I've been in this problem solving mode, and you had mentioned that creativity can be funneled over to problem solving. And it seems like just really yesterday, I had talking with another person, I had a breakthrough in this problem I've been having with my cousins in New Mexico, and it opened me up to a whole new way of making it possible for us not to have to hate each other, which is really what I've been trying to do this whole time. And it's just not very easy when you're trying to get somebody to buy something from you, a piece of land, and they want to, delay. Anyway, but I see that my creative energy has been funneled to problem solving because I've become the gatekeeper for my sister's money. I'm the tax person for them and myself and my husband. I calendar the appointments for my sister and myself. And I'm kind of like this gypsy card reader trying to see the future and what I'm going to have to be prepared for. So to be able to see it as creative, it makes me help not resent it so much that I have their problems on my table as well as my own. And it's really helpful.
Mm,
So for me, that was good.
yeah, that's great.
I'm going to mute myself now.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that because one of the things I wanted to bring attention to today, right? And we'll talk about it. I'm going to wait. Let's do the next question and then I'll bring up what I was going to say. All right, let's take 2 or 3 minutes and we're going to do the next question. So I want to leave up my screen share. Can you see it? It says, "What isn't creative?" Think about what's outside the scope of creativity for you. What have you been taught creativity isn't? So take a minute to think about that. Do you need more time or is that enough time? Just give me a one if you need another minute or a thumbs up if you're good. Thumbs up. Okay, good. How was that writing? How was that question for you? Who would like to share? Christine.
That was quick and dirty for me
Hmm.
because what I wrote was creativity isn't, and then I just put follow the instructions, listen to the rules and follow them.
Yeah. Yeah. The creativity isn't was a powerful prompt for me too. Right. Anyone else? Terry. Oh, you want me to unmute you?
So I thought of how negative self-talk isn't creative, and the two words "I can't" are not creative.
Hmm. Yeah.
That and then, but the first word I thought of was destruction, because I'm every time I listen to the news, I hear destruction, and it is the opposite of creative. But if I think about um, like um, a fire, we've had lots of examples of fire and how nature comes back after a fire and shows how um, just creative nature is. Very creative in terms of creativity and destruction. So that was, in that amount of time, what I got.
And that's huge. I mean, listen, none of us want to think of the destruction happening in our government as a good thing, but opening it up to recognize and look at nature to see a creative aspect within it can help shift our perception of some things and help shift within ourselves how we respond to things, to be able to pull out and go in with that regard. And so that was a really powerful realization that I'm really appreciative of you sharing because we want to put things in a box. And that's what I want to say. Like, creativity isn't rigid, it isn't penalizing, it isn't bullying, it isn't static or stuck. And I think, and being able to see it that way can allow us to bridge into things that have felt very black and white in that regard. And so I really see creativity as a path forward in current divisiveness, not as a weapon, but as our own way to connect to ourselves and to be able to communicate with others. So it's a really powerful tool, I think, that we aren't using enough in how we see things. Um, yeah, the news, I was like, is the news creative? I mean, sometimes in the wrong
And
way, but
I think Castor is very creative.
yeah. Yeah, there can be a lot of creativity, you know, but but we don't have to have that conversation right now. We're now really, really focused on how ourselves can be using creativity um to answer that, you know. So any other insights from that anyone wants to share before we go to the next one? We have two more. No? Okay, good. So this next prompt can let me see if I is it still being shared? Yeah. Can you see it? No, it's not. Okay. There we go. Okay. So the next prompt is what's one thing you do that feels creative? And we heard a little bit about that, but let's go another round with that. Or brings you joy. If nothing comes to mind, what's something you enjoy doing that makes you feel fully yourself? This could be something like cooking, writing, organizing, or making something with your hands. So start to think about something, one thing you do that does feel creative. And I'll set a timer. Okay, that is timer. Good with time? Okay.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear from one of you about one of these things. Charisse, do you want me to put you on the spot? I don't want to do that if you don't want to answer, but I'd love to hear what you have to say.
I had two moments of creativeness. One has to do with my surgical background, setting up my back table and finding ways to, if there's multiple instrument trays of fitting it all on the table so that way I can access the most prominent thing first and quickly. So I find that, I do get a little creative when it comes to setting up my back table. I strategically places things in a certain way so that way you can find it easily if someone came to relieve me for a break and they need it. And then I quickly transitioned to my creative side when I got finished buying a ton of groceries at Costco and I have to pack my trunk and my back seat. So I strategically, it's like Tetris, trying to fit everything in a certain way so that way, but I managed to get it in there. So that was what I was thinking. You too, Elon?
That is so creative. And that I love that you thought of both of those things because would you have thought of those as creative before we started talking about it today?
No,
Probably not, right?
no, no, no.
Isn't that interesting? But they fully are
Hmm.
both of those things. And that's my hope is to kind of shift like, oh wow, there's lots of things I do in my day that are creative and can bring me joy. Even with a little bit of cumbersome and like carrying heavy things like Costco. How is Costco creative? Elan.
She need to unmute her.
Oh, okay. I'm unmuted. Now I'm going to try and ask you. Is it not unmuting? I'm asking you, but it's not. Let's see if I can unmute you. Ask to unmute.
Well, maybe if you hold down your space bar,
Me?
Elan, if you hold down your
Oh,
space
you did it.
bar, you have to
I'll
hold
hold it
it down.
down.
You have to hold it down
That's
while you're
great. Yeah,
talking.
I'm having some weird computer thing. Thank you for that instruction. That was perfect. I'm holding it down. But Charisse, I absolutely relate to the Tetris designing of the brain and organizing space. Like it's such a need to have, I do that in my house. I could just putter all day to reorganize little things and where things are sitting. And it's so satisfying to me. I love it when my family's away and I just putter in the house. And it helps my mind actually. It's like it creates space for me to just exist in something that, the organizing. But I was also like organizing events and that to me is creative. I do a lot of that and the details of that or writing about other people's creative work. I like the language, working with language that's creative. And just on a real literal art practice, collaging. That's again my hands in something. And not that I'm very good at it, or it's not like I'm going to be an artist in a gallery, but I love the process of sitting there and looking at something and designing it on a canvas. Okay, I'm going to now take my finger off the space bar. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are fantastic examples and all really different ways of expressing creativity, which is what I love and what I wanted to explore today. So it's inspiring to me to hear all these ways that it shows up for each of you too. And Christine or Terry, any quick thoughts on that? Or we can go to the next one too if you're feeling complete.
I I just have a quick one. Am I on or off?
You are on.
On. So I was, what things do you do that feel creative and bring you joy? I have had this garden here to work on for a number of years, probably something like 25, and it changes. And there's been this one part of the garden this year, just one part, that was so perfect. It brought me so much joy every day to walk outside and look at this part of my garden that had all these white irises and sage around it, and the colors were so perfect. Um, uh, it brought me such kind of relaxation and a sense of uh, that was my idea. And I put them in there. I decided where to put them, and look at that. So
Mm,
that was really something.
that is.
I'll have to send you all a picture.
Oh, yes, please. Please. I'll- And Christine, did you want to say a quick thing? Quick word?
It's funny, I wrote down a couple of things. One, Elon said something about planning events. I find that to be very creative and brings me a lot of joy. But what's funny is I wrote planning events and then conveying my vision of the event. So using my words to explain to others what I see and trying to make it happen. I think that's a very creative process for me.
Yeah, very much so. I enjoy that too. Okay, I want to make sure we have time to keep going, and maybe we'll do this. I'll give you just a kind of a minute or two for this last question, and we'll have more time to kind of talk about it too. That's why I'm going to structure it that way as we get to the end and have some other things I wanted to ask about. Okay, so the last question, which I'll share, is which one of your core values inspires your creativity? Take a moment to reflect. And do you have your core values near you to remember?
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Okay, that is time. And Alon, that might have been, I don't know if that was harder for you, but we talk a lot about our core values are more on the tip of our tongue here. So not that they weren't for you, but in that way, we've workshopped it a bit over the years. Um, so I'm going to answer this first. Just one of my values, and I put it in the email, what is creativity, and it took a moment for me to realize that, but it is so key to everything I do and how I see the world. And the definition of it, which we do in the workshops, is as we define each value, is thinking outside the box with vision and imagination, and seeing the unseen, the playing, dancing, um, creating art, painting, walking, all of the things. And then the idea of holding two completely opposing ideas at once. I will also say my value of flourish is also inspires my creativity because that's more about blossoming and blooming and being seen. And it requires a different type of creativity. That's more the one I'll go to with an event. I'll use creativity to help me brainstorm and things, but the flourish also helps me put it out in the world and do it with joy, as does creativity. So they both work together, though they cross over in some ways. They're very distinct to me in how they inspire creativity. So I wanted to share that. So let's do a quick popcorn. Because I have a couple other things I wanted to ask you, but um, anyone want to share, or who would like to share what value they have? Go ahead, Terry. You're unmuted.
Unmuted. Okay. So I have, I think, in my list the word curiosity. And I feel that one comes up, uh, I think, in combination with courage. And that reminds me of the Wizard of Oz, that the lion needed courage to
Yeah.
be able to do the next thing. And that those two together help me overcome a lot of the kinds of insecurities and self-consciousness that I was raised with. And um, that's that's probably a popcorn version.
Yeah, perfect. Who would like to go next? Sharice?
Uh, the value that creativity inspires me, that inspires creativity is adventure.
Mm, mhm.
Because I do so much different stuff. Like I got into hiking, I got into snowboarding, I got into scuba diving, I got into salsa dancing. I love to travel. I did mountain climbing. Um, I think that kind of encompasses my creative lifestyle
Right,
because it's just so random. It's just this stuff is all over the place.
right. And it even describes your journey with Costco in a way, right? Like it's an adventure to get in Costco, get through Costco, buy the things you need, not buy too much, check out, leave, and get it in and out of your car, right? Like that in and of itself is an adventure. So, you're living these mini adventures or preparing the adventure. I mean, this may be going too far, stop me, but like for surgery, right? Like the way you prepare. To go on an adventure, you need to have things organized in a way.
Yeah,
Sparks
yeah.
creativity. I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Mhm.
Christine or Ron?
I wrote down two: spiritual growth and self-care ignite my creativity. With spiritual growth, one of the things that I do that makes me feel creative is create guided meditations. And so I do this, and I think I'm doing it for other people, but it's the time that you spend working it, coming up with, being receptive to, that you do for yourself, and it helps my spiritual growth.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So expression, since I haven't done all of the values, but creative expression for me is a big value, and it's really dictated so much of my path. And I think it's because it creates through the creativity or through expression, there's understanding and communication, trying to be connected. And then what I wrote down is the exploration of self in relationship to others, whether durational, long-standing relationships or momentary encounters like this. And I'm really grateful to be here today. It's sort of the universe brought me to the right place. So thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you too. I love that. Yeah. So we're right at the end, and I do want to hear from you. Like at least answer one or two of these. What are you taking with you from today's session? Because we went through a whole journey here. I wish we had a little more time, but if you can stay for a few minutes after, I'd love to hear what are you taking with you today? How might you honor your creativity in the coming week? And what value do you want to lead with this week? I'll say. Okay, who would like to go first? And I'll post this too.
I won't be intimidated by the word creativity because I used to hate it.
Right.
But now I realize there are it's not just art projects. It's not just, glue stick, glue guns and stuff, which I don't like. For me, it's words. And so I'm going to use my creativity this week and be mindful about it. Thank you.
That's beautiful. That was my hope and what I wanted to add for people or to give as a gift to people, and that creativity is everywhere in all things if we start to notice it and look for it. So, anyone else? It was what are you taking from today's session with you?
I'm going to say that I'm going to take from today's session that I am creative after all. I just needed to kind of pinpoint or open up, broaden my perspective of creativity and not just think that it's all about designing something. I am planning on giving myself props for being creative. So when I do set up my back table I do find a way to get all those groceries in the car, knowing that I bought too much from the get-go. But I'm going to give myself props and just really pat myself on the back and tell myself, hey, you are creative. So I'm going to encourage myself. And I think, yeah.
I feel an affirmation of my values by being here today with all of you. And it's a reinforcement of the current journey I am to reconnect to my creative self. So, like I said, it is the perfect place to be. So thank you.
Yes. That's beautiful, Elan. And I heard that, when you started and said you weren't feeling as much or connected creatively to yourself. And then we did that first prompt and you were right there with the gardening. And sometimes it's a validation to shift that we're not as off out of alignment as we think we are. So when we have our values, that's sometimes what it really helps us do. Like we can be so hard on ourselves thinking we're not. But if we start to reframe and see it and have the values to be that something to align to, because alignment, if you don't have something to align to, it's hard to be in alignment. So when the values become that, it can help us say, oh, wait, we are actually in alignment. Things are okay. I'm not as off as I thought I was. It's just showing up very differently than it used to. That's what I've had to see. And I can use things like going to Costco. It's a creative journey than sometimes when I have to, or I did it once when I was doing a lot of driving for the kids. And I just imagined myself driving flowers in the city of Los Angeles because I was making these loops. And so I had to kind of like creatively think about driving. And that really helped me get over the amount I was in a car driving these loops. I was making flowers. So thank you for that. Okay. And Terry, we close this out here.
Okay, so I think that I will take with me that I need to give more time to the other parts of my creativity other than just problem solving. There are so many other kinds of creativity, and I need to put more effort and just organize my time better so that I can have more of that. And Christine reminded me about the creativity of words. And I really want to get back to that too, because I really need some words right now to
Yeah.
Move three very specific people.
Right. And that's an excellent way of saying it too, because I see the values. So sometimes when we're in a really creative space, we need the values to help ground us into our daily keeping our commitments, being in integrity. We're not too off, like lifted off the ground. And then sometimes if we're in the problem solving of creativity, using it in our daily life, we want the creativity to help uplift us in this other way. So it is a bit of a flow and a back and a forth. It's a beautiful tension in a way of how the a value of that inspires creativity can help us move through these phases that may be more uncomfortable, and particularly like right now with so much uncertainty in the world. So if we're too far in one way, use your creativity to go be in the garden. If you're all day in the garden, but you need to be some grounded and you need to get back to like doing the report for work, you can use your creativity to do the work and the problem solving and put the report out in a way that feels good to you. So it's kind of using it for both. So I will leave you with that, but it's been wonderful to spend this hour with you. Thank you so much for your time and generosity and being here. And I hope, Alana, I hope you come
Thank you,
back when you have the
Amy.
time. But it was so great to have you. It was such a perfect one for you to visit. So
Yeah. Thank you. It's really great to see you and to meet all of you as well.
Right.
thank you for coming.
Morning. A good start for the day.
Yes, for sure. All
Yeah.
right. Lots of love. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.